Today, I want to talk about a major gap. We could call it a missing link, but it's a gap that is really, really important. Uh, Winona is a contradiction, but she doesn't know it. She claims to love education. She talks about education. She talks about how she supports education and believes everybody should be educated. But Winona hasn't read a book in years. She doesn't learn new things. She doesn't take an interest in her own development. She is a contradiction between what she says and what she is. She spends most of her time just watching old reruns on TV. And I don't think she even realizes that saying that you love something and actually being dedicated to it and developing it are miles apart. Uh, the same is really true of anything. Of course, I'm thinking about people, especially Christians, who claim to love God and to love Jesus Christ, but rarely show any signs of doing anything about it. Using the education analogy of Winona, we all know people who actually got an education, sometimes even a higher education, and then they quit learning. And for the rest of their lives, they never pursued knowing anything more. And I'm suggesting that that is not a love of education. Now, you're probably already ahead of me because, of course, I'm thinking about Christians or people who claim to be Christians. The same applies to loving Christ. We go to church, we sing worship songs, we talk fluently about how much we love God and how much we worship Christ, and we have all the right words, and we quote all the verses. We put our money in the offering plate, and then we go home and do what we really love. And that is obvious to anyone who knows us very well. But to really love God, to love Christ, takes time and devotion and a real desire to make that the priority of our lives. It's a nonstop dedication. We all know about world-class athletes or famous surgeons or architects or engineers or even great Christians who have studied and learned and kept up their entire lives. If we don't want it badly, then we'll just talk about it. We'll pretend to love it, but in reality, just remain a spectator to those who actually pursue it. I think most Christians understand that a life of dedication to knowing Christ and developing a real love for Him changes a person. Even without our being aware of it, we become more loving, more understanding, deeper in our hearts and our lives. And in addition, we have this priceless treasure of the investment of our lives laid up in heaven that we will enjoy and benefit from as a never-ending reward. On the other hand, the prophet Isaiah begins in chapter 1 talking about the religious Jews, the Old Testament Jews, And God speaking through Isaiah says, you people, you come and you bring your sacrifices, you sing your songs, you do all of the outward signs of worship, but you might as well stay home because your heart isn't in it. Your life doesn't show it. Stop bringing your worthless offerings. Stop keeping the Sabbath. Stop bringing your sacrifices. And what he meant was not that those things were wrong, they were actually given to them by God. But they are ways to express a heart that is already given to God. He's just pointing out the obvious. He's not scolding them. He's just saying, you don't mean it. And it's kind of like a husband who talks fluently about how much he loves his wife, but doesn't help her, isn't interested in her, doesn't take any time with her and her needs. Talk is cheap. And more than that, talk is insulting. Talk can be dishonest. I've referred several times in these talks to a very succinct sentence by Paul in Philippians 1, 7 through 9, a single sentence. But in those 3 verses, he condenses the entire Christian life. These Philippians are already serious Christians, and his teaching to them is to emphasize pursuing love for Christ and each other. Pursuing love like a world-class athlete pursues a better and better athletic ability. And he tells them the way to do that is to flourish in real knowledge and all discernment. Those are the words he uses. And those 2 words really sum everything up. Real knowledge, all discernment. But of course, we can't just say we believe in real knowledge and all discernment. We can't even just memorize the verses and lecture other people about them, because there's a vast difference between knowing it and pursuing it and being it. And that takes a lifelong pursuit. I think most people are aware of the dirty jobs man, Mike Rowe. And he is in a mission to try to encourage young people to develop skills trades, to becoming skilled workers in so many areas where skilled workers are desperately needed. People highly trained in fields that require great skill. You can't just fall into those trades. And I have been in a mission for much of my life to convince other Christians and myself who say that they love Jesus to actually become skilled Christians. Christians who are skilled in the right skills. The great wise man Solomon said, wisdom is skill, the skill of living right. So those 2 words, full knowledge and all discernment, really say it all. They are a lifetime pursuit. And Paul says, you can't love God, you can't love each other without real knowledge and all discernment. That's a huge assignment. That assignment never gets done. we're never done learning and growing and receiving and developing. But it's worth the time we put into it, the devotion we put into it 1,000 times over, both in this life and in the treasure that can never be taken away. Paul told us that Jesus, for the joy that was set before him, endured the cross. We can't imagine the pain of the cross, but he did it for the joy that was set before him. I admit it takes sacrifice, it takes time, it takes devotion to know Christ in a deeper, deeper way. And we would almost call it a sacrifice like dying. But boy, is it worth it for the joy that is set before us. I think most Christians don't really pursue Christ because they don't really see the benefit. We are, we're kind of like a vegan at a gourmet buffet. We don't see anything there that we want. And so we don't make any effort to pursue our relationship with Christ. There's nothing here for me. But in Christ, there is life. There's real life. There is deep life. There is love and joy and peace. There is all of the things that matter in life. And so our life can't be spent in just talk, but in pursuing real knowledge and all discernment. And that's it.